What is up, and welcome to Ask DLF Taco Tuesday, Waffle Wednesday, whatever your flavor. That's going to be a lot of fun today. The goal of the show is to answer all of your fantasy football questions and help you dominate your Dynasty leagues. I'm your host, Cal Shoemake, at Calvin Hobby on Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, I'm joined by a man who writes more articles every month than Tom Brady has played seasons. He's a
not quite true. Not quite true.
The best hair in all of fantasy football. Tyler Karp, how are you?
My hair's up today, unfortunately.
Not showing at all.
The people probably demand that the hair comes down, but
at some point,
my hair's in a man bun.
At some point, it's coming down. Don't you guys worry. So today's episode is brought to you by DynastyLeagueFootball.com. Make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. You're going to find a lot of amazing content. Addison does a bunch of great things. You need to make sure you're following him and watching everything that he does. And there's also a new show called Dynasty Refinery that you need to check out as well, where I'm interviewing people, including Addison, which I interviewed in my first one from last Saturday.
I watched the first one. It was very good. I give it my full endorsement, which is, as some people might know, just because you're at DLF does not mean I give you my full endorsement. So I really enjoyed the show. So I would suggest everyone go and watch it. It's not just a homer take from me.
Appreciate you saying that. Also, remember to hit the like button. If you hit the thumbs up button, Addison gets happier when you do, wherever he is, whenever you're watching this.
I can confirm that with every like and every subscription, Addison, it becomes happier.
Yes, dopamine hit, like immediately, like it just makes him happy. So as somebody said right after the show last time, likes for Addison. So make sure you are hitting that thumb button or thumbs up button.
Subscriptions too. Don't forget the subscriptions. Those go even further.
Absolutely. There's a lot to talk about today. Tyler, before we get started, is there anything that stood out to you this week?
I mean, yes. Yes, right? I mean, today, a lot of things happened, right? I mean, Tom Brady actually retired. I assumed that was the reality, but you confirmed today. We don't have to talk about what if, this. So I'm kind of happy about that. And then, obviously the entire Brian Flores lawsuit dropped today. Obviously I don't want people to think that I didn't see it or that I would ignore it. I wouldn't do either of those things. I don't, from Dynasty perspective, obviously, I don't know how much that really affects anything. From an NFL perspective, I will say, as someone who has a master's degree in sports management and who, definitely learned about how to, handle employees and how to handle relationships inside sports organizations, the Miami Dolphins are in very hot water. This is no good. I mean, the whole thing is bad. The one thing that is actually the smoking gun of all of it is if they can prove, it can be proved that they told Flores to lose games and they would pay him $100,000 to lose games. Then it kind of seems like when he didn't go along with that, they retaliated against him. If they can prove any of that, Dolphins are gonna have to sell the team. That won't fly. That's no good. But the whole thing is bad. It just exposes a lot of things that I think we all knew about the NFL. Racial prejudices from the ownership. Obviously that kind of stuff. I don't know anything more than anyone else, but it's a black eye on the NFL, and I think this is gonna be a big deal. I don't think this is gonna go away. So. I'll talk about it from time to time. It's not something that affects fantasy too much. I won't, talk about it that much. But I saw it. I didn't want to say nothing.
I did see it happen. Unfortunately, I was not able to read all the way in depth on it. Real life stuff got in the way for me.
It's worse than everything you read. Everything you read is just bad. More reading is just bad. It gets worse and worse. So the more you read, the worse it looks.
No doubt. If you watched the show before, welcome back. I think we have the absolute best chat room in all of YouTube.
We do.
If you haven't yet, here's what you do. Use the chat, as the little scroll down there says. Use the chat. You can ask us whatever you want. Don't do it anywhere else but YouTube. And you can on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. If you're one of the few and proud that watch on Facebook, hit that like button there too and tell us. But
we know how many people watch.
yeah. But on YouTube, great chat room, great place to watch this. So make sure you do it. And you just simply, whatever question you have, make sure you ask it. And here we go. Alex, I actually noticed there was some earlier from Ed. Ed, if you're in the chat room, they got a race. So I don't know what happened, but this is the first one that we see here. Lots of these questions coming in even before we started today. But we'll start with this one. How do you assign value to another team's 2023 first that you own and they want back? They are now likely in a rebuild. TB12 was their quarterback in a 14-team Superflex. They have no replacements and no draft assets this year.
Oh, I love being in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give back to them. And if you do, you charge them double the price.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mind being a little bit of a jerk in these kind of situations because you kind of have them over barrel, right? And like, this is, yeah, I mean, you assign value to it as an early first, right? I mean, what an early first in the 2023 class is worth. I mean, think about what that could be, right? So, yeah.
That could be Bijan Robinson, right? I mean, that could be
right. I mean, it could be, and that's someone obviously we want. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, value it highly. Don't just give it back to them. And I will say that I tend to have a habit of just not giving it back. But if you want to be nice, I'm not usually nice when I play in leagues. But if you want to be nice, you can give it back at a 50% premium. At least, if not more.
Okay, so if this pick has the chance to be like a 2023 1-0, let's say 1-2-3, and I see the super chat. We'll get to that in just a second. I wanted to get your response to this. Would you take that pick or Najee Harris?
Oh, Najee Harris is still I would take. I mean, Najee Harris, you're taking a top 5 dynasty running back right now. I want to let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
That pick or DK Metcalf?
I'll still take DK Metcalf, but more reasonable already more reasonable.
Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, now you're starting to make me think about it.
That's kind of the line right there.
No, I mean, I would still take Waddle, but it's at least getting me thinking. Waddle and Metcalf are not that different. T. Higgins? Oh, okay. Now we're getting there. Yeah, I would probably take that pick in a super flex and just take my chances on the Bijan. If it's really a team that's a dumpster fire, I'll take my chances on the getting a quarterback or Bijan. I'm not gonna take T. Higgins in exchange. I'd rather just hold the pick. In a 1 QB, I'd still take T. Higgins though.
Go ahead and pull up that super chat right there.
Oh, it's not a question. It's just a super chat with $5 from Scott McCoy thanking us, I guess, for doing the show. Thank you. If you have a question, ask it because we'd love to answer it, especially for anyone who gives the super chat. We'll go to the show. We don't get that many of them anymore, but if you want to get in your question like and answer it immediately, we'll answer it with a super chat. But yeah, thank you.
And if you think likes make Addison happy, super chats really, you don't want to know what happens when we get a super chat.
Yeah, Addison will actually smile.
So I'll go ahead and put that up since we did get that. Yeah, I mean, super chats will be answered immediately. We got a bunch of questions. We're going to try and get through them all if we can. But so let's go back. This was so in essence, like I think you covered this one, right?
I did.
Yeah, so let's go. Alex comes back in. Best assets they have: Tannehill, Mixon. So Debo's Debo would be a great.
Not that bad. I mean, in a 14-team league, this team is not that bad. I mean, we'll see. It's hard to give too much without actually knowing.
Ryan chimes in. Who could you reasonably buy in a 12-team Superflex with the 108?
Sorry if this is too vague. Yeah, I mean, this is a little vague, right?
It is, except for Tyler's got a pretty good list where he knows of exactly how he would value that 108. So where do you have that?
Yeah, but it's around a lot of players that I'm not buying. I think if I'm going to be optimistic, I would try to send that 108 for the Superflex. I try to send it for. You think I can get Elijah Moore? Probably not, right? So
probably not for the 108.
Probably not. So then it's probably going toward a quarterback. You think I could get Derek Carr?
That's exactly who I was just thinking in my brain. Like, yeah, see if you can get Derek Carr, because now you got Josh McDaniels coming in there. Maybe there's somebody that's nervous about that. Last time he came into an organization, he immediately traded the starting quarterback. So
I don't think that's happening this time.
I hope he learned from that. But yeah.
But yeah, I would try to go for Derek Carr if I had to pick one name.
That's really good. E. Wessel, what's up, fellows? What's up? Appreciate the question. Trade away Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Amon St. Brown for a 2023 first and a second, likely high picks, and Sony.
How likely and how high? I guess it's not that bad, no matter what, but
still a win. You're not really high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire anyway.
Like Clyde, a failure when we don't want failure. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will infect the rest of your dynasty team with the stench of failure, so you don't want him.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather at this point have a second and Sony over Clyde. So I don't want any part of him.
And then if you can get out of Amon-Ra with a first, I'll take
I'm
that.
fine with that. I mean, I guess it's fine then. Yeah, if it's likely high, I'm fine with it.
And I like Amon-Ra. That's not.
So do I.
Yeah. Also got Deontay Johnson for 111 in 2022. That's really good.
Easily take Deontay Johnson.
No doubt.
Yeah.
TJ Gamer, y'all think I should counter this trade? I got offered to me. I get AJ Brown, Michael Carter, 105, 305 for Javonte Renfro, and the 112. And I know there's not a quarterback in here. So, but be sure, even if you have a trade that doesn't include a quarterback, if it includes picks at all, make sure we know the format. If it's super flex, if it's not, because these picks definitely do change value wise, whether it's super flex or not.
It wouldn't matter for this trade. It's going to be the Brown side, AJ Brown side, no matter what. Him and Javonte are pretty equal. And then the 105 is worth more than Renfro and the 112. So forgetting even Carter. So this trade's not even close. So it's the AJ Brown side no matter what.
Very good. He's chiming in there that Wessel won those trades. Yeah, love that the chat room ends up answering a lot of these questions as well. Keep that up. Alex says, got offered DJ Moore and for my 2023 first and Cooks. Is that a good deal? I finished second this year and have Chase, Cup, Javonte, Fournette, Boyd, Thielen, and also my 111.
I'll take more. Here. Yeah. That's not enough.
Yeah, I will too. Yeah, Alex says, as usual, I appreciate you guys and we appreciate you and all of you who are getting your questions in. Keep those coming. Appreciate seeing all those questions come in and comments. Blake McDonald says it's Waffle Wednesday. Yeah, this is our Australian guy making sure. Appreciate you tuning in, Blake, and giving us Waffle Wednesday as part of our vocabulary here at Ask DLF. Samuel, would you trade a 2023 supposed to be late, so projecting a good season, plus 2024 second for Deshaun Watson, or 2022 106 and 2023 late first for Watson?
Well, I'm not doing the second one. Okay. The first one, I mean, if you have to, but I don't want to do that.
The first one I probably do. If you found out tomorrow he was going to play in the NFL, the second one would be worth it too. Right?
Yeah, if I found out tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Could not happen for a while. It
could be a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Blake, not unless I knew he was going to play. So sort of the same thing. Yeah, so let's see. Samuel, 102 for Dobbins. What are your thoughts? We love J.K. Dobbins on this show.
We do. But I will take the 102.
If it's one QB?
Even in one QB.
Okay. Nicholas should offer 2 first for Elijah Moore if I'm a rebuilder and sold all of my running backs, trying to build up my wide receiver first.
No, we're not going to offer 2 firsts for anybody if we're a rebuilder, let alone Elijah Moore, who is not. I did say to buy Elijah Moore, but not for this. My idea of buying Elijah Moore is often going to include giving up a receiver I like less, like Devonta Smith, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, or Rashad Bateman, including something else, a little bit else, and going up to Elijah Moore. It's not going to be offering firsts for Elijah Moore. I'm not going to like that. So the answer to this question is no.
I am with you there, FF Lefty. Hello, hello, and what's up, everybody? I did see that FF Lefty is doing really good in that playoff league that we were talking about a few weeks ago.
Oh, is
doing
he?
very well. I need to go look up the
Huh.
standings, but last I checked, if you're still watching FF Lefty, tell me where you are in the standings, because I saw you were very
He's
high.
definitely still watching.
Great job. Samuel asks, just traded Christian McCaffrey for Kareem Hunt, James Conner, 2023, potentially late first, and a 2024 first. What are your thoughts?
I guess. Sure. But this is not what I'm looking for in return. They got 2 players that are even older. And a first that's years from now. So this is okay, but you can do better. You can do better than this for Christian McCaffrey. You can get a first and a younger wide receiver or something. Like, you do better than this.
I'm with you, Zach Fuller, Chubb, and Terry McLaurin, and 206 for Eno. A 2023
right,
first and 2023
Let's simplify this a little bit, really, because Eno is worthless, and a 23 second and 206 are barely different. So essentially, we're looking at Chubb and Terry for 3 2023 firsts.
Smash accept.
I mean, it's
two?
sad that in a super flex, it's not a smash accept. How far those 2 have fallen for me, but I feel like it's still light for Chubb and Terry. I'd lean that side, but if you're in a desperate rebuild and this is what all you have, it's better to take this than no deal at all. As sad as that is.
Yeah, can you change Eno to something like a value? Like, I don't think Eno has any value. Right?
Well, or could you just eliminate the 206?
Yeah.
Keep that?
Yeah, that would help. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that would help.
Salsa 19. What's up, Salsa? Hey guys, what do you think about Michael? What do you think Michael Pittman's ceiling is? Seems like he's flying under the radar after a good season.
Oh, right. Okay. So I have Michael Pittman in Dynasty at wide receiver 19. And I think his ceiling is somewhere between 10 and 15. He's never going to be a top 10 player. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. He'd have to land in the perfect situation to get all the volume with a good quarterback. And is that going to happen? The good quarterback part seems unlikely. And then the all the volume part seems like, is it going to be better than it was this year where there was really no target competition? No. So yeah, I have him a little bit lower. So yeah,
I love I think his ceiling is high. You don't think his ceiling could be top 10?
No, I don't. Absolutely not. Doesn't strike me as that kind of guy at all.
I would bet against him getting there, but I don't know. I think he's got something like that in him.
I don't think so. Target share wasn't really there. Considering the competition, the target share was bad. It should have been better. So that's why I hesitate on top 10. I don't see it. I see low end 1, high end 2 as his ceiling. And clearly, if I rank him at 19, given his age, I don't see that as the most likely outcome either.
Marcus chimes in, just traded Christian McCaffrey for AJ Brown in a 2023 second. What are your thoughts?
This is a lot better. This is a lot better. Yeah, I would take the AJ Brown side, but this is what you want if you're trading CMC.
Yep. Alex, what's up, guys? Psyched for another great show. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in. Just traded Baker Judy 2023 second for Lawrence and the 303 in Superflex. What are your thoughts? Do you think Lawrence gets better next season?
Well, I mean, I would rather have Lawrence over the other side. So this is a great trade. Now, as for part 2 of do I think Lawrence gets better next season? Yes, right. I mean, how much worse could it be? So yes, I do think it'll be better with a new head coach, although we don't know who that is. And yeah, I think you did a good buy low here. You got rid of Baker, who I don't want at all. Judy, who is not going to be in a good situation no matter what. So yeah, go for the Lawrence side.
No matter what? I mean, it's possible he's in a good situation, yeah?
No.
If he stays in Denver and they upgrade at QB?
Yeah, if they upgraded QB, Devontae Adams is coming with him. And then you don't like it. Then Jerry Judy is stuck with Jordan Love. We want that.
Yeah, no, I'm at the point where
You
I'm
wanna be stuck with the
uncomfortable
trash
with how
can
many
at
excuses
quarterback? I
I'm
don't think
making
so.
for Judy. I'm making too many excuses for him.
Well, it's not about excuses. It's just how is the situation going to improve? What
Mm,
is going to happen to make the situation improve? It
right.
just doesn't seem very likely. It seems like the best case scenario is that he actually goes to Green Bay and becomes Jordan Love's number one wide receiver. Uh, That's the best case outcome. That's like good. So
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
What do you think about Jim Harbaugh taking the job in Minnesota potentially?
I
The
don't care.
the report is that he plans to become the next coach. I haven't seen that he has accepted. Is it official? I don't think it's
I don't
official.
think it's official, but either way, I don't care. Not for Justin Jefferson anyway.
I think he's a good coach. I'd be curious to see. It's not going to matter for Jefferson, but I'll be curious to see what else it does to the rest of that offense.
I'm not too worried about it. I mean,
No
they're going to
reason to
use
worry. I think Jim
Jefferson.
Harbaugh's a good coach.
Yeah, they're going to use Jefferson and Cook, and we'll see beyond that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm most curious to see how he gets Irv Smith involved. But we don't really have any history really to say one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to prejudge it really. We'll see.
Nicholas says, is Nico Collins worth more than a third trying to trade the 304 for him?
Okay. Let me scroll. Yeah, no, I'm fine giving up the 304 for him.
Yeah. I think it's about right. I wouldn't give up the 204
It is about right. Well,
probably.
not the 204. It is about right though.
Keith says, morning, gentlemen. So I wondered, Keith, are you also joining us from Australia? I'm curious.
Somewhere where it's the morning.
Yeah, we're huge in Australia.
That's what I heard.
Blake's helping us out a lot over there. Yeah.
That's what they tell me.
Morning, gentlemen. As always, I'm pumped for today's episode. Here's trade thoughts. Or who wants our trade thoughts here? 10 team, Superflex, Najee Harris, or Kenny Galladay and Cam Akers.
Well, Kenny Galladay like detracts from my happiness on a dynasty team. So he's not worth anything. So I'll just take Najee Harris.
Agreed. Nothing more than a flyer, like nothing more than like Kenny Galladay is just doesn't have.
Kenny Galladay has the same amount of relevance to me as Nico Collins. So whatever that is, not enough to move the difference between Harris and Akers. So I'll take Harris.
Agreed. Salsa 19 chimes back in. Hello again. Doing a startup draft with 2-minute pick times. Would that make you try and trade picks before the draft?
Okay. I'm starring this question to put it in the article, mostly because I just want a soapbox for slow drafts.
Yeah.
I guess I hate this.
Me too. You're not going to trade him during the draft. There's no way.
Not on a 2-minute clock. No.
No way.
The only way you could do this, I don't mind a fast draft. Just with, pandemic, this hasn't happened a lot recently in my time in the industry, but I don't mind a fast draft if you're all in the same room. If you're all in the same room and you have like a 5 to 10 minute clock, 5-minute clock, let's say, that gives you enough time to like physically walk around and like make a trade in person. I like that. I've never had the opportunity to do it because I don't have any real life friends who play fantasy football. Maybe I have four if I'm being generous. So I've never had the opportunity to do that. And I think I would really enjoy it. And I think that would be a lot of fun. But if you're just doing the draft online, a 2-minute clock just is not enough to make trades. So for a rookie draft, I don't mind it. If you have if you want to get the draft knocked out in like 3 or 4 hours and you do a 10-minute clock, it's only 5 rounds. It's only 60 picks. You can speed through that because not everyone takes the full clock. But a 2-minute clock, essentially, you're saying there won't be any trades. So would it make me try to trade picks before the draft? I guess so, but it would be more likely for me to just say, okay, I guess I'm just going to take value in this start. I'm confident in my drafting. And when I do a startup draft through Patreon, a lot of the times, like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, they're making picks and I have a life. Like, I might not be there every minute of every day. So like, I can't always sit there and, make a lot of trades. So a lot of times we just end up making a lot of picks without making a lot of trades. Most of the trades get done when they do a lot of the negotiation on their own and just present the offer to me like at the end, and then I just say yes or no. But I'm fine with the teams that I've built just drafting. So I wouldn't make a bunch of trades just because I wouldn't get to make any. I'm not like this is going to sound weird, but I'm not a trade addict. That's a shout out to
I like the show, Trade
Dynasty.
Addict.
Oh, I love the show, but
Yeah.
I'm not a trade addict.
Salsa.
I just want to win. I'm a winning addict.
My suggestion is see if you can convince the commissioner to open it up where people can start making picks now, and then if you want to finish the draft with a like do the last however many rounds with a with a sped up draft like this, that kind of makes sense. There's just not as many picks, not as many trades as you get later on in a startup. So
agreed.
I'm okay with that, but I don't like the idea of starting off this where you are not likely to have very many trades happen, and to me that's what's fun.
Yeah, I do not like this, and I will use time in my article just to rail against this.
Scott chimes in, and really good opportunity for me to suggest him in here. He says non-super flex, half PPR. So lists his team here, and that's good. Appreciate the extra additional info. However, when we get to the question here, he's got 103. Do I grab Burks or London or trade CMC or Henry for a wide receiver? We are always going to say we are drafting for value, not for need. So it is good that we have the team, but a good opportunity for us to say we want you to make sure that you are always drafting for value.
I have the rookie ranks though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have them. So this is one QB, so not super flex. So I have Breece Hall first, Treylon Burks second, and Isaiah Spiller third as of now. That could change. I tend to prefer running backs in rookie drafts because that's how I get them. I like, and also what I like, you know me, the ageist. I like that Breece Hall and Isaiah Spiller are 2001. I like that 21-year-old running backs. So, if they get anything good, landing spot, good combine, all of draft capital, all that, like I'm gonna try to force them in at the top more than likely. Those are the two running backs I really have my eye on. So as of now, I would have Isaiah Spiller at that spot, but you don't have to make the pick now. So subject to change.
Draft for value. Caleb says, appreciate you guys. Tyler, thanks for not blocking my DMs to you yet.
So, Caleb, you might think you DM me a lot, but you are not in the top 5 of people from my Patreon of DMing me a lot. So you're good. Don't worry. There's never too many. If you subscribe to my Patreon, you can DM me 100 times a day. I probably will start taking 5 minutes to answer you, but I don't mind. I'm a pretty extroverted person. I don't mind some DMs. They really don't bother me.
Nicholas finally sold his last Chubb in a rebuild. I got the 109 this year and 2023 second with 2/3. Did I get a good trade off?
Man, it's brutal. I mean, I guess, right? I guess if that's what you're going to do, man, tough that you can't get more, but it is what it is, right?
Zach says Chubb, Terry, and 2-6 for Eno.
We did this one. We did this one already.
Okay. All right. That's the same. I didn't know if there was
questions in once. If we don't get to it, we'll get to it later, but don't duplicate.
Yeah, Ed. So hey, Ed, whatever questions you had in the beginning that I saw earlier when I logged on to YouTube, they didn't show up. So make sure you add those back in. Salsa says last question. Look, don't apologize, Salsa. You don't need to be. This doesn't need to be your last question. You can ask as many as you want.
As many questions as you want.
Yeah. In the startup, that's what we're here for. It's literally it's Ask DLF. So that's what we're doing.
True.
Ask us as many questions as you want. In a startup draft, if you trade back from 105 to 112, what kind of extra 2023 picks should you get in return?
Okay, so I would like a first, obviously, because that's what I want. But I mean, I do a lot of trading back. I'm fine taking a second, but I would try instead of that to get like 112 and 712 for 105. Try that. See if you can do that.
Because that really is a big, I guess maybe it depends a little bit on Superflex and 1QB in this question, but there's a big difference from a top 5 player and top 12 and Superflex to me. So that is a big
no.
So I feel like I'd hold out for that first. If you're going to get like if that's what you're going to do, you're just going to trade back just for 2023 picks or later picks. That's what I would want.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
Oh, here's one of those questions. I remember this one. As someone who's a volume trader, shoot. That's right, Ed. Who are a few of your throw-in players that you always target as a trade add-on?
Irv Smith, Nico Collins, who was mentioned earlier. You want to go like really low? Let me look. Really low. Who have I been putting in lately? I don't tend to like a lot of these. Oh, Brevin Jordan.
Yeah.
Brevin Jordan is someone that I'm interested in. Oftentimes it is a tight end that I'm looking to throw in. Yeah, Irv Smith, we talked about already. Who else? Nico Collins. Yeah, I mean, those are some of them. In a super flex, I might be looking to toss in Mitch Trubisky or mostly Mitch Trubisky based on the values. Occasionally, I will take on Tyler Huntley as a stash as well because he showed the fantasy upside. And then if you want a running back, maybe Jarrett Patterson. I don't mind having as a throw-in. I'm not paying anything for any of these guys, but those are some players that if I can get them as a throw-in, maybe they have some upside. I also don't hate Laquan Treadwell. As weird of a name that is. Yeah, no, I know that's where we are, but I actually think he was pretty good down the stretch. I think he's going to get. Yeah, I think he's going to get some sort of contract. Him and Zay Jones also another one that I think, at least shouldn't be on waiver wires. I would add them to my roster. Don't pay for them, but you can add them. Deontay Harris also. Another one, really deep name.
Oh, snap, it's Aunt P. Says, what's up, guys? What's up? Oh, snap, it's Aunt P. Can you give me an idea of what to do with Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Mitchell, and Darnell Mooney? Can't figure out if they are sell or holds.
Okay. None of them are particularly move worthy. Mooney could be a buy, sell, or a hold, depending on how the people in your league view him. Mitchell's kind of the same thing, and honestly, Judy's kind of the same thing. None of them are on my list of players that I'm, have one way or another on. I value all of them pretty close to their ADP, almost exactly. Actually, when you take the draft picks out, I have Jeudy and Mooney ranked almost exactly on their ADP. And then Mitchell, actually, if you take the draft picks away from my rankings, Mitchell and Jeudy are ranked exactly at their ADP because the January ADP didn't have draft picks in there. And Mooney is like one spot off. So that's telling you that I don't see them as buys or sells, really.
I just pulled up the dynastyleaguefootball.com trade finder. And so this is a really good litmus test. It shows a lot of real trades. So I'm going to ask you a couple. You tell me which side you want.
Go for it.
Jerry Jeudy or 2022 first. It doesn't show me which one.
It's useless without knowing which one.
Jerry Jeudy or Gabriel Davis and a second.
Where's the second? Yes, it matters.
It doesn't show it on the trade finder. I'd have to click into the league.
Yeah, I'll take if it's a high second, I'll consider the other side.
Jerry Jeudy and Aaron Jones or Antonio Gibson and Tyler Lockett.
I don't want Aaron Jones at all, so I'll take Gibson.
Jerry Jeudy and Mike Williams for David Montgomery.
Jeudy and Williams. Barely. Close.
Jerry Jeudy or Amon-Ra St. Brown and a 2023 second.
Amon-Ra in the second. Pretty easily.
Very good. Hope that gives you an idea on Jeudy. Elijah Mitchell for me, that's not a sell. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to go into the season next year as a starting running back, and I like that. I like what he's doing. I think a lot of people are going to try to be off of him because they're afraid of Shanahanigans, and I just don't think those are real.
Yeah, if I can get Elijah Mitchell plus for Saquon Barkley, I'm doing it all day. So
Yes.
Elijah Mitchell might be a buy, but you know that was just shoehorned in there.
Dude from Viking Quest, what is Calvin Ridley worth right now? I've offered Miles Sanders and Jacoby Myers for him. Should I go up, or am I in the ballpark? 12 team, half PPR, 1 QB.
I don't even.
This is so league dependent.
I don't want Calvin Ridley because, look, he was bad before. He was bad before he went out. He was bad. And I wrote an article saying, oh, the volume is there. He's been bad. But, he's a good player. He'll bounce back. Now that's not a given. That's not a given. That's not a given that also, even if he comes back, that he's going to be the same as he was before. That isn't a given. It never is with mental health. You can't just assume that he's going to be the same person. He's going to be the same player. You don't know. So to me, he's never going to be valued. Like, I guarantee you, the day he comes back, people are going to be like, yeah, no, he's back to being top 10. He's never going to be top 10 again for me in Dynasty. I don't see it. It would be one thing if he was good before he went out, but he wasn't. In this offer, I don't like Miles Sanders at all. And Jacoby Myers to me is irrelevant. So he's a Jag. So whatever. Jag is just another guy. I say that a lot, but that's what Jag means. I wouldn't even offer this. I'm certainly not going to increase my offer. I'm not that interested in Calvin Ridley, and there is still a risk that he doesn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a risk. It's not like it's a guarantee. We've heard nothing from the Ridley camp at all. There's been a speculative report here or there, but nothing concrete to say that he's going to come back. The one thing I think is clear is that he's not coming back to Atlanta, but it's hard to tell. There's no hard evidence to tell. Is it he's not coming back to Atlanta, or is it he's not coming back at all? There's no evidence. Nothing from the Ridley camp. So if there's no evidence from the Ridley camp, nothing to go on, I'm just going to stay away from a player like that. I don't want a player like that.
I don't either. And honestly, his value it's never going to recover. It's just never.
No, it's never going to recover because he was bad before he went out. If he were good before he went out, it would be very different. Also, Ridley's a lot older than people think. He's already 27.
That's exactly.
The age apex is already gone, and we're already past the age apex. So now we're on the decline plateau phase of him in Dynasty. Certainly not. He's not an ascending asset. So, at this point, let's say he came back tomorrow. I would still probably rank him below Devonta Smith, Michael Pittman. It's in the range of Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Claypool, where I'm starting to consider him. But that's already a massive fall from where he was before.
Yep. The Smith-uation says, how would you flip high value guys for multiple picks in a newer league? Our first season wrapped up. There are no clear-cut contenders, just 10 teams with a mix of young and old. No team has a stockpile of picks. Any tips for getting fair value back for guys like Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Adams, or maybe even JT, Jonathan Taylor?
You're unlikely to get fair value back for JT, but how to get fair value? Just try to get a first with a younger player. So for Adams, look at the chart and then go for, let's see, Adams is around there. So first and Elijah Moore would be a good idea for Devontae Adams. Then, for someone like Debo, who I have a little bit higher than Adams, maybe I would want something a little bit better, like maybe DJ Moore in a first then. CMC is even higher. So then maybe we go to Jalen Waddle and a first, or I can't get that, maybe T Higgins and a first and a second or something. So that's, those are all ideas. JT, I think is going to be a little bit more challenging. For JT, I'd like to get something like, I don't know, Jamar Chase in a first, but you're not going to. So you're not going to get what I want for JT. So
doesn't sound like this league did a ton of trading in the first place. And so you're going to have to sort of set the market with your trades here. So I wouldn't go too low.
So yeah. Also, there's another super chat, and I will pull it up.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because it's basically just the same. It's actually the same question we had before. So we talked a little bit about who we take at the 103. As for trading Henry or Christian McCaffrey, I would like to trade both of them. I mean, I don't want to take a 28-year-old running back into next year under any circumstances. So Henry won't enter the season on any of my teams. Christian McCaffrey, the same thing. Given his value, he's about to turn 26, and how high his value still is, he's not going to enter the season on any of my teams either. So I would like to trade both of them away, and you could get whatever you want to get in return. But we talked a little bit about a Christian McCaffrey offer. Derrick Henry, you're going to get less, but I would still try.
T-Fish, Cal, you got any inside info on the Saints' next head coach? I do not have any inside info. I did see that they were sitting down with Brian Flores.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen at this stage.
Honestly, I would love it. Just based on
I would love it. I would love it because I cannot remember the last time that someone was employed by the entity that they were suing. That would be very interesting.
And you know what? Like that.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. 100%. I'm here for it. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Saints fans would love it because it's like a big middle finger to the league, and
given how the Saints feel the NFL has treated them in the past, I could see that they would like giving a middle finger to the NFL, but I don't expect that to happen.
By the way, so very quick aside, did you watch the Sean Payton movie on Netflix?
No.
Okay.
Why would
it's obvious he had some creative input into that show, I think.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Sure he did.
I thought it was interesting.
I wrote the Saints capsule today, though.
T-Fish, tell me who you would like it to be. I don't know who comes in and fixes this team. I wanted it to be Dayball, but he ended up going to your Giants anyway.
Can you imagine what I said about Taysom Hill? I got an article where I was forced to write about Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Well, it's either him or like writing about little Jordan Humphrey, I guess. So.
Well, no, but I had to write about everybody, every player. So, let's just say here, I'll read you one sentence. Payton proceeded with a constant charade that Hill had a chance to develop into the Saints franchise quarterback.
Listen, here's can I tell you something? This is true. Out of all, as many great successes as Tom Brady had, 0-1 against Taysom Hill. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, there's also the part about where I talk about how despite criticism of Hill from almost everyone in existence other than Sean Payton, let's just say that my opinion of Taysom Hill is very negative. You'll get to read it. We'll see how much of that they edit out. Sometimes I go a little bit too far and it gets edited out, but it was in there. I promise you.
William says Justin Jefferson and the 103, or Rodgers, Devontae, and Keenan. So I'm guessing this has to be a superflex.
Well, yeah, probably. I'll take. Okay. I'll take the Jefferson side.
Me too. If it's not superflex, if this is one QB,
well, then it's easily the Jefferson side.
I feel like. Man, because everything on the other side are aging assets. And
to me, Jefferson is worth about generously. I'd rather have him, but generously, you could say he's worth Devontae and Keenan. I would rather have Jefferson over that pairing. But, if you're being generous, then I'd rather have the 103 over Rodgers in a super flex. Some would disagree with that. I actually think most people would disagree, but I'd rather have the 103 over Rodgers in super flex.
Okay, that must have been what I was looking at. FF Lefty says not doing well, had a bogus first 2 weeks and was second this past week. So I must have just been looking at this week's story.
He asked me for advice on this, and I had no idea what I was talking about because I'm not following start sit during the playoffs. I don't play playoff DFS or anything. Sleeper was nice enough to give me $100 to play test their product, though. So I have used that money to try it out. Their squads mode. But other than that, I don't know anything about playoff contests or anything.
Dustin asked, with everyone down on CD, what could I expect to get back? I need an RB in the worst way.
Oh, well, you're not trading CeeDee Lamb now.
Dustin, why do you need a running back? You don't need a running back
now, and you're not trading CeeDee Lamb now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think now is the time you want to be trading. Are you down on CeeDee Lamb overall?
not compared to some people.
I'm trying to think of running backs I would even take
No,
over
this
CeeDee
is
Lamb.
we're not trading CeeDee Lamb away. So
Maybe if you got Swift, maybe.
sure, but that's not going to happen.
No. Sergio Garcia, 10 teams. Superflex. My top running backs are Javonte Williams, Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and AJ Dillon have the 101. Do I draft CJ or Brees to go wide receiver? Set at QB with Mahomes and Lamar.
Okay, let me do everyone in the chat a favor. Is your draft if your draft is next week, ask me who you should draft. I'll give you my best answer. If your draft is in May, stop asking me who you should draft in rookie drafts that are in May, in February. Because what difference does my answer now make? What difference does it make? How does that help you? How does that help? Tell me how it helps. How is that a helpful answer? It's not. So unless your draft is before the NFL draft, what are you asking me to guess? I don't get it. Like, I even hesitated to put up these rookie ranks in the first place because I'm not a Devy analyst, really. Like, I'm not overly confident in my pre-draft rookie ranks. I put them up because there was a demand for them, and I have them on the side. So if I have them on the side and I'm willing to use them, then I should be willing to put them up, right? But it's not like I have a high degree of confidence in this. Again, it's not my specialty. And if you're asking me now about draft picks you're going to make in 3 months, you're not doing yourself a good service. And you should be thinking about value anyway. And what you definitely should not be doing ever from me or anyone else is locking yourself into draft picks now, 3 months in advance. It's not like last year when we knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the 101 in Superflex. We knew that. It's not like that. We have no idea who the 101 is going to be in a 1 QB or a Superflex right now.
Yeah, we really
no
don't.
idea. We have
It's
no
crazy.
idea. Nobody knows. So don't lock yourself in. And, just asking me, I'll give you my best guess, but you're doing yourself a disservice by asking those kind of questions. That's just my opinion. But, you can ask whatever questions you want. But I'm just telling you that I think it's putting you in a bad mindset to do it that way.
Ed wants to know who some of your players that you feel may have hit their peak value. Could be age related or just
this is a good question.
Fluff themselves up to a tipping point. What do you think?
I mean, Chris McCaffrey, I guess it already happened. Cooper Kupp, obviously. Cooper Kupp is at his peak value now, and it's not going to ever get higher. So, because he turns 29 in June 15th, 1993. Is when he turns 29. I'll make sure to get him a birthday present. And Cooper Kupp is one. I think Devontae Adams' peak already passed. Cooper Kupp is the one that really comes to mind as someone who's like hit their peak now, that they're valued at their most ever now and are only likely to go down from here.
Yeah. Travis Kelce jumps out. Like most of the ones I'm thinking of
was
are
worth more last year. Like Cooper Kupp is the only player I can think of who is worth the most they've ever been worth right now and is guaranteed to decline going forward. I can't think of another player off the top of my head that meets both of those criteria.
I'm with you, Joe Abear, Pittman, Moody, Waddle,
Mooney, I think he means
Smith.
Mooney.
Oh, I'm so. Oh,
Yeah, Mooney. Mooney.
I don't know who Moody is.
I said
all had successful seasons with no competition. Sell high candidates.
Okay. I mean, yes and no. They're all young, so they could all produce, improve their play. Waddle, definitely not. Waddle did really well as a rookie. He could progress further and become even better player. So Waddle is not a sell high. Devonta Smith, I think people are higher on him than I am. His season was not what I would call successful. I guess it was successful for your average rookie, but it wasn't like anything special. So I'm fine selling him. I'm not attached to him at his price. And I am very concerned if like they trade for Calvin Ridley, then we're the Ravens all over again. We're the
Mhm.
Ravens there. Then we have 2 receivers that we can't support and a tight end who takes up too much volume. We're the Ravens again. And I don't, in a low passing volume offense with a passer who's even worse than Lamar Jackson. So then we wouldn't want that. So Smith would be the one of these I would say is the most sell high. Waddle definitely not. Pittman's value isn't that high. So, I have Pittman and Smith almost equally valued, but I don't think the consensus is that way at all. So Pittman is more of a hold. I'm okay selling him though, because I don't think the ceiling is really there. So if I get a good offer, there are Pittman truthers out there. I know a few of them. So I'm fine moving on. Mooney, kind of similarly, if people think that he is going to get 140 targets every year, I'd like to move on. But I also think that Mooney is a good player and that Mooney is going to have fantasy value for years. I think he's going to have a career. So I don't want to just give him away.
Yeah. No, and this is a totally separate discussion, which would take too long for right now, but I'm not worried about the competition. Like that wouldn't be part of it. I'd look at the player, and I'm not thinking about their competition right now.
The only time I worry about it is when the passing pie is really small. Exactly. And that's why I brought it up for Smith.
Yep.
It doesn't actually matter how bad the quarterback is. It matters if it can matter, but the quarterback has to be really bad for it to matter. Even Carson Wentz is not bad enough. The problem is if the passing pie is tiny. And that's my issue with the Eagles specifically. So that's why I have a little bit of an issue with Devonta Smith. But I'm not worried about Tua, for example, being a problem. He's not bad enough.
Resetting real quick. We're just over halfway on the show. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. Look down there. Make sure that it is not red. If it's red, go ahead and push that button. Make sure you are subscribed. That makes everybody happy. And hit the like button, the little thumbs up.
Yes.
I'm telling you, like wherever he is, like Addison might be asleep right now. And if he's asleep, it doesn't matter. He's gonna have like visions of unicorns or something in his dreams. If you give him a
nightmare hearing about my Excel spreadsheet, that's what he's doing right now. He's asleep.
Spock says, what do I do with Miles Sanders?
What do? You get rid of him, but you probably can't. So hold on to him. I don't know, man. At this point, I'm higher than consensus on Miles Sanders. Somehow that's happened. So guess he's a hold then. But I don't believe in Miles Sanders.
Pull up a couple of Miles Sanders trades from the trade finder. Miles Sanders or Devin Singletary?
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I think so too. Miles Sanders or Rashad Penny and Robert Woods?
Miles Sanders, but pretty fair.
This is an easy one. Miles Sanders and a second from 2022 for J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Dobbins.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Dobbins.
Miles Sanders or Cordero Patterson, a second and a fourth?
Sanders.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a decent idea. Indian V-Dub, I won my league this past year. What's your strategy to continue to win multiple years? 10-team Superflex.
What's your strategy to continue winning?
It's a big question. I think just like don't do like quote unquote win now trades and add old people.
I'm gonna star this question and address it in the article with some more of my general strategies, but just generally keep making good moves. Don't be hasty. Sign up for my Patreon. That'll help you. Keep asking questions on this show. Read my articles. Yes, all of that's selfish, but I really do think that following my advice will help you win. I don't know. Has a good track record.
David says strong win now team with mostly high-end vets and not much youth. You try to sell off some pieces now before the value cliff hits next year, even if it hurts my chances to win.
This is team specific, but in general, yes.
Yeah, in general, I would say yes too. But I can see you presenting who is actually on your team and me not thinking you should trade them. It's hard to answer this without seeing exactly what it is.
Yeah, these type of general questions, I tend to kind of, dance around a little because it's a different answer for specific questions, for specific players.
Tyler Patterson. I feel like we get different Tylers in here all the time.
Oh yeah, Tyler was new to my Patreon.
Yeah. Got Amonra plus a third for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyler Boyd. Already have Jamar Chase.
I think I weighed in on this trade. Maybe, but the Amon-Ra side for sure.
Yeah.
Gosh. This trade looks familiar. I'm pretty sure I weighed in on it.
David, 12-team Superflex has all. Oh, that's context on. Okay, so he did give us the question.
Well, that team looked very good to me. Was I missing something? It could use another quarterback, but it's not bad. I mean, we have good running backs. This is not all right. No. Run it back. We're not selling here.
Run it back. If you get an opportunity to flip Waller, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Waller, sure, but in general, run it back.
Maybe Diggs.
Maybe.
Pat Coughlin is Sony Michel essentially worthless now. I know Akers is just coming off the injury. I feel like Sony has looked better. It says Sony hasn't signed the Rams. Good context there.
Well, Sony's not worthless. I mean, if he signs on the Chiefs, I think he would be worth something, right? I mean, he would be the starter. He would be the starter there, right? If he signed on the Chiefs, he would immediately be the starter because they don't have any good running backs there. They have irrelevant players that we don't care about. So, I would hesitate before calling Sony Michel worthless because he looked good this year when he was the starter, right? I mean, when he was the starter in the Rams, he looked good. Just because Akers is better doesn't mean that Sony Michel became bad between the time he started and the time he didn't. He just didn't have an opportunity because there was a better player. I would say that Sony Michel is going to be intriguing in free agency, don't you think? I mean, there are teams who are going to be interested. I think so. I think they would have to be. What about the Bills, maybe? The Bills could be interested to complement Devin Singletary. I think that it would be a lot better than Zach Moss. If the James Robinson is not ready, Travis Etienne is not played in the NFL. What if they sign Sony Michel in Jacksonville to kind of take some of the early down work? I think that could be a good signing. And there are what about the Chargers? They've tried with the Joshua Fumble and Larry Irrelevant to get compliments to Justin Jackson's a free agent, compliments to Austin Eckler, and they failed. So what if they sign Sony Michel to get a competent early down running back to take some of the work off of Austin Eckler? There are just a lot of options where he would have fantasy relevance. So no, I would not say that Sony Michel is worthless. I would say he's someone I'm going to, keep in mind.
Am I reading this right? He's 26 points, so almost 27
well, I'm not saying
years
he has a lot of value. He's not someone that I'm, giving up major capital for, but, worthless, not yet. Let's see what happens at least.
Tyler Nelson, another Tyler. Where do we find your Superflex rookie rankings?
Yeah, so all of my rankings are on Patreon. If you want DLF's rankings, my Patreon, I can just put the link, which I will do. If you want DLF's rankings, they're on DLF website. You can find those. Definitely there with rookie rankings. The DLF writers probably know a lot better than me, especially now because I don't follow college. So, but yeah, they're on my Patreon, and there's a link if you want it.
Yeah, and I think both those things. Check out his Patreon and on dynastyleaguefootball.com. Mine are in a Google Doc that nobody cares about, but they're there. They're there. E. Wessel, top 5. So we're gonna get to this later. We're not really at a point where are you ready to say your top 5 rookie running backs?
I mean, sure, but keep in mind right now I'm looking at Breece Hall and Isaiah Spiller as my clear top 2, and then I have Kenneth Walker at 3, and then Kyron Williams at 4, and those are the 4 that I would say I know something about. After that, we're talking about players that I'm like, oh, I read something, and okay. I mean, they're ranked here, but we get out of after the top 4 running backs at this point. We get out of players that I know a lot about, but Jerome Ford, Rashad White, and I think that's how you pronounce that. And I'm tried another Tyler Algier. Is that how you pronounce that? I'm working on these pronunciations. There are some difficult names in this class. But luckily, Breece Hall and Treylon Burks are pretty easy, so I can remember the top names.
Jacob Calloway wants to know JT plus Rondale Moore for DK and 3 first, including 1 in 2023.
The DK side.
Yeah, I think so too.
DK side.
Trading away Jonathan Taylor is never going to be fun, but
yeah, it won't be fun. But I'll take the DK side.
Yeah. 1 QB league, 108 and Rondale Moore or Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's Ed. Ed, I mean, look, Ed is the greatest hype man in the world.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Ed.
Ed, Adam, FF Lefty. I actually have a bunch of people who like to hype me up. But I appreciate that.
Local Liability has a hypothetical. If we were going to sell Javonte Williams in non-Superflex, what would the price be?
Oh, it would be very expensive. The 101 plus at least, or multiple firsts. So, yeah, it was going to be expensive.
Yeah, people aren't comfortable with where he's ranked, but I think when you look at it, like, you kind of have to have him pretty high.
Yeah, if I'm going to sell him, I would want, I'd probably, I'd want the 101 plus or Jalen Waddle plus or something like that.
2 first? I mean, like, if you were talking about no,
the 101 and a 2023 first,
yeah,
maybe?
not the 101. Yeah,
that's what I would need.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Sergio, 10 teams, Superflex, top running backs. Javonte
again.
All right.
Yeah. No, not this particular question, but it's the same thing. Again, if your draft is actually before the NFL draft, say so, and I'll give you my best answer. Otherwise, the answer is have some patience and, wait to see the draft process play out, because anything I say now, boom, combine happens, and that's all irrelevant. Like, it's all changed.
I like this question here from TJ Gamer. What pick would y'all most look to move? 102, 104, and the 105.
This is so league dependent on and who people are interested in and what you can get and how. I don't have any general answer to this.
I
don't even know how to answer this.
I could see with like a little bit of uncertainty saying like, hey, maybe the 102 is the better one, and you've got the 104, 105. Maybe you can stockpile some more picks. So I can, like, in my mind,
what if the teardrop is at 2? What if the teardrop ends up being at 2 then?
It definitely could. And that's the risk.
There's no answer to this question other than I'm open to moving all assets at any time for a good offer. That's the real answer, is I'm open to moving whatever I get the best deal for. But to specifically between these picks, no, there's no answer.
Jacob says, how much of your process is from data versus film / watching the games? What type of data do you find to be most predictive for wide receivers? Yards per route run, still a top indicator?
Okay, so this is actually a good question. For rookies, it's very, I don't know how much I know about film, but it's for rookies in college, it's not much. That's not my area of expertise, college film. I don't know anything about that. So anything about rookies, I'll watch film for the articles where it comes up, where that's a section, and I'll watch it. I mean, I'll give my opinion, but I'm not an expert. I wouldn't say I'm probably better at film than you or Jacob or anyone watching this show at college film. NFL film, I trust myself a little bit more. NFL film, I think I can watch an NFL game because that's what I'm used to and give a good idea of how a player is doing. Especially, I think I'm better with quarterback, but I think tight end probably the worst because there's a lot to that position that's not fantasy relevant.
So much.
But I think from watching the games, I can do a pretty good job of telling NFL players apart once they're in the NFL. Even so, a majority of my process is not film, but we're talking about, like, for rookies, maybe it's 5%. And for NFL players, it's maybe 15 or 20. It's mostly data. I wouldn't say I'm like purely a box score scout. I do like to get context on that data. Like, for example, I don't just look at the box score for this week with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? I'm really low on him not because of the final stats, but because he didn't enter the game. He did not get any touches until the second quarter. So that matters, not just the final line, but the context around that line, who came in at the start, those kind of things. So I factor that in. But again, that's data, not film. So it's just a little bit of a different kind of data. So I'm willing to factor in snap counts, that kind of stuff is some stuff I use. So yeah, I'm definitely mostly a data person. I just definitely use it a little differently. And then as for these types of what data do I find most predictive? Yeah, I mean, yards per route run is something I'll consider. I tend to be big on, raw stats though. One of the biggest predictors of fantasy points is previous fantasy points. Target market share is important to me. I like to see someone who's getting an alpha share, but it's not the only factor. How you produce on your targets is important to me. How many targets you earned, targets are earned. So if you're earning more, that's something. Targets is something I look at a lot for wide receivers. And I also definitely talk against players who produce very little on the targets they received. I like to see production on those targets. So yes, yards per route run is important, but I definitely would say I look more than most at only what happened on the plays that they got targeted. I definitely focus on that more than maybe others would, I guess.
Jacob, really good question. And in fact, I talked a lot to Addison about his process. We talked about his rookie process as well, which he has a really good one. Most people know Addison as like the YouTube star for DLF, but he actually funny. He built like a lot of really good tools. Like he graduated in statistics. Like he's really good with numbers, really good with building these tools. And so there's it was released 3 days ago. Called Best Tools to Win in Dynasty Fantasy Football. It was me and him. I interviewed him. We talked about some of this. It's really good. I've got somebody who's really good at film who's coming up that should be released this coming weekend, who I haven't announced yet, but who I will. So yeah, we're going to talk a lot about those sort of things. So really good question. Salsa, appreciate your awesome answers. Superflex, would you trade 705? Okay. 905 and a 2023 third for the rookie 101. So this is
asking these startup picks for the rookie 101. I would take the rookie 101 over that combination. It's a fair-ish trade though. The rookie 101 is not as high as it is other years.
Jacob wants to know Rashad Bateman or Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, it's Jeudy. It's a good question though.
I'll take Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Joseph, I think really dipped last year because he was struggling off the field. Agreed that his level upon returning is unknown. Yeah, that's kind of basically where we stand at, and that's exactly what you have said in the past too. That like how much of what he was dealing with is what led to that dip. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would probably.
We've said a lot about it.
Yeah, I probably have a good idea of where I would rank him if he came back and was immediately playing, and it's still not that high.
Ed makes a really good point to me. I think I can win value in other ways rather than being, going after Ridley. Like,
and that's cost. Yeah, you're tying up value in an undesirable asset at the moment.
There's just no need to. Like, it's not like if I miss out on that, like I'm okay if I miss out on that value.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not like when Tyreek Hill was going through his legal issues and then he came back and was immediately valued, like 5 rounds higher than during the legal issues. I think I would maybe move Ridley up about, if he was back in 100%, maybe 10 to 15 overall spots over where I have him, like around. It's not, I don't have to chase that value against the risk of him never coming back.
Mitchell Grady, how much more should be added to CeeDee Lamb for me to get rid of Jamar Chase?
At least a first to do that. Yeah,
there was a moment where they seemed like they were in the same tier, and that moment is long gone.
That moment is well in the past.
Ryan Kirby, 10 team, 2 QB, Barkley and Lance for Amon-Ra, Elijah Mitchell, and Justin Fields.
Well, I'll take the Amon-Ra side with Mitchell and Fields.
Me too. Chogdor, how many first would you trade for Brady's career in a super flex?
I'd trade an entire rookie draft for Brady's career in a super flex. Every pick. I knew I was getting Brady's career.
Yeah, I would too.
20 years of a start, more. 20 years because he missed the one with injury. So 20 years of a quarterback one. I mean, I just lock that in and then deal with the rest of my team.
Here, T-Fish has an idea for the Saints head coach vacancy. Promote Dennis Allen to head coach and bring in Tom Brady as the offensive coordinator.
No.
It's not happening, but I love it.
Brady makes too much money doing his businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ed can't see him ever coaching. Rock
Never
Lee,
coaching.
are you taking Deontay Johnson or Terrace Marshall and a mid-2023 first?
Man, people don't value Deontay Johnson correctly. I'll take Deontay Johnson easily. Terrace Marshall's irrelevant.
They really, really don't. BR Gordy 48, yo fellas, what should I be looking to get back for Trey Lance in a 10 team 1 QB?
I'm just not. I mean, what are you going to get back? I don't even know. Like, nobody trades quarterbacks. This is why I don't like 1 QB. Nobody trades quarterbacks in 1 QB. So I don't think you can get fair value back. So why not just keep him in case you need to play him?
In 1 QB, I don't think there's much you can do, especially in a 10 team. I mean,
I just don't see the point.
How do you feel about Noah Gray compared to some of your other tight ends like Brevin Jordan and Irv Smith?
Way lower. Noah Gray is not worth a roster spot in most formats. In deeper formats or in tight end premium formats, he's worth a spot. But in your regular 1 QB or super flex, no premium, he's not worth a roster spot.
Tyler Patterson chiming back in here, 10 team super flex, Devonta Smith for Daniel Jones and the 202.
I'll take Devonta Smith there, but it's a reasonable offer. If you think Daniel Jones is going to bounce back, that is. But in a 10 team super flex, I don't care as much. So yeah, it'll be Devonta Smith.
I think this is a great time with Dayball signing in New York to get rid of Daniel Jones.
Get rid of Daniel Jones, get rid of Kenny Galladay, get rid of Saquon Barkley. Those 3 I don't want.
Your Giants.
Kadarius Toney I can hold on to, but those 3 I don't want.
That's true. I really do like the idea of Kadarius Toney being with Dayball. I like that.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's up, Ryan? He says, "Go Bengals." It's Who Day. And I do like the EAUX for Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Alec, cut or trade to LaVisca, Cordero, Josh Palmer, Trey Sermon. What picks to take for them? I got offered 2/3 for Sermon.
That's a smash accept.
Yeah.
Sermon's not worth any thirds. So Sermon is worthless. You can cut Trey Sermon in a shallow super flex league. You can cut him. He has no value to me at all. So he can go. Take 2/3. And then Palmer, I mean, 6th and 7th round rookie picks are not worth anything. So a third is not, just a random third is probably not going to be good enough just in case Mike Williams leaves. I want people attached to Herbert. So yeah, I'd probably rather try to get rid of Cordero because he's so old. I don't think he has much value.
Salsa chimes in here. What should I do with Tyler Boyd? I'm rebuilding, but I can't get a second.
Yeah. How about try adding a third to Boyd to get a second in 2023 and just moving on? That's probably the best you can do. That would be the first thing I would try.
Spock says, if you plan to trade Travis Etienne, we might want to stop you there.
Yeah. He's not really a player I'm looking to trade anymore because it doesn't seem like anyone wants him still. I thought there would be hype, but there isn't. So, I mean, you probably just have to hold on to him and wait for that hype to come.
Just depends on the value you can get.
Unfortunately.
Yep. Oh, snap. It's Amp P. Says, me again. Would you sell Judy for Mooney and 204 in a 1 QB league? And would you sell CeeDee Lamb for Elijah Moore and St. Brown? Let's start with those just one at a time. Darnell Mooney and 204 for Judy.
I'd like to do better, but I understand it. I understand it if you want to do that. I understand it. I think the value is fair. Lean Judy still, but if you want to do that, I don't have any issue with it. And then the second one, no, that I won't do. I'll keep CeeDee Lamb.
Agreed. Yeah, Ed, I hate taking one player and splitting them into 2 assets in general. Yeah.
I don't mind it. If one of those assets is a first round pick, I don't mind it. a future first, especially. I like getting future firsts.
It's just that a lot of times in Dynasty, if you try to trade a dime for 2 nickels, they're never going to equal up to the value of that dime.
Yeah, that's true. But oftentimes when one of those future 2 assets is a future first, then oftentimes I like it. But usually these X player and a second for better player, I usually like the 1 player.
Yep. Really Truther. Hey, Jen's brightening up my Tuesday nights. Thank you, Really Truther. Always good to see you in the chat room. I got Russell Wilson in a couple of Superflex leagues as my QB1. Who would be some realistic trade targets? Quarterbacks for him. Can't move him till trade rumors start for much.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't even know. Can you trade Russell Wilson straight up for Trey Lance? No, right? I don't think so. I would try, but I don't think you can.
You could try. I don't know that you can.
Straight up for Trevor Lawrence. People don't like him. Can we try that?
I think you have to add to the Russell Wilson side.
I think you would, but I'd be willing to do it.
At this point, I think we can pretty confidently say Pete Carroll's not going anywhere, right? I mean,
no, I don't think so.
Probably know by now.
Like he is. He would have been fired by now. So maybe Russell Wilson is. I mean, do you think I think there's a world in which they work out their differences. I don't think
they did last year.
And I think there's a world in which that happens.
It's not what I want.
Well, I think it's more likely that they work out their differences than that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers work out their differences, but that's more salary cap related than anything else.
Do you like stashing Dwayne Eskridge?
No.
I could see it. Why not?
Why? Tyler Lockett is under I wrote the Seahawks capsule too. Tyler Lockett is under an obscene contract for the next 2 years, and DK Metcalf is not going away. He's not going anywhere. So absolutely not. Hard pass.
Okay.
Tyler Lockett's contract is obscene. You should go read it.
Well, yeah, they just signed that last year. They just
and it's obscene. 2 more years that they can't get out of it. So Eskridge is like already 25. So
that's what I was going to say. The thing about Eskridge, what's tough is that he's already older than you would think. So
yeah, Eskridge has essentially no value to me. So I'm good.
Let's see. Yes. Dude from Viking Quest chiming in again. Would you trade the 102 and Miles Sanders for CeeDee Lamb?
In a 1 QB, yes. I'll take Lamb.
Yeah, I'll take Lamb too.
But it's not the smash except that it was.
We really need Dak to bounce back. That's what I'm really hoping for.
I have faith.
Mark Carr says Marquise Brown or Chase Claypool.
I'll take Chase Claypool, but I'm not overly excited about it.
I think that's absurd. It's Marquise Brown here. Chase Claypool is going to have Mason Rudolph.
What did Marquise Brown produce from the day Rashad Bateman was healthy? Marquise Brown was completely unusable. Completely unusable.
I think we've been through this.
Completely unusable, and that's going to continue. With J.K. Dobbins coming back, it's going to be even worse. So Marquise Brown is a good player. I actually don't want the people to hear that I think Marquise Brown is bad. I mean, I was the one saying Marquise Brown was good from the start and that he would be a big problem for Rashad Bateman. And I was right about that. But unfortunately, he's stuck in a nightmare situation. So whatever Chase Claypool's situation is, it's going to be better.
Tyler Patterson says, you didn't weigh in on that one, Tyler. I was asking about Chase for Higgins and ETN.
Yeah, so that's the one I weighed in on. Yes, I would take Chase there over Higgins and ETN.
Yeah, me too. And I love Higgins, and I kind of like ETN. I don't love him, but I kind of like him. But Chase he's just different, man. He's just different. Tyler also says that Tyler's Patreon is very much worth it.
I'd like to think so.
Does he mean his Patreon?
No, he means mine.
I know. Akpan says, so what will you trade the 105 for? If you have the 105, don't trade it until it gets closer to the draft.
Yeah, I agree.
Ed says Claypool over Marquise Brown.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I have Claypool in the league that we're in. You can offer me a trade for him.
Yeah.
T-Fish, Joe Brady, not Tom. Okay, so that makes more sense.
He was unfairly fired. That's true. But
makes more sense. I would love
don't-
that. I'm a big Joe Brady fan.
yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, it's like he disappeared. I don't know if he's got something going on, but I haven't heard anything from Joe Brady in a long
Nothing
time.
about him from me. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, probably not. Ed Francis, Brian Daboll did a great job getting the most out of Isaiah McKenzie. I have faith he uses a speedy wide receiver well and manufactures.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to also take a message from the whole Flores situation that I'm not saying. Brian Daboll was my original first choice as a Giants fan. He was my first choice for Giants head coach. He's who I wanted to be the head coach. A lot of the reason was because I thought he could get the most out of Kadarius Toney specifically. And, Ed is correct in saying that he got the most out of Isaiah McKenzie here. And, I think Kadarius Toney, I think we can agree, is twice, 3, 4 times as talented as Isaiah McKenzie. And, I really hope that Brian Daboll can bring along those schemes and succeed with Kadarius Toney. Unfortunately, I think Brian Daboll is stuck with incompetent, Kenny Golladay, always hurt and not the same Saquon Barkley, and wild mess Daniel Jones. That's not his fault. I don't know if he can make lemonade out of those lemons, but I do have hope for how he's going to use Kadarius Toney. I think that could be a good thing, and that's why he was a big reason why he was my first choice for head coach of the Giants.
Getting into the home stretch here on the show. If you have any questions, make sure you go ahead and put them down there. Appreciate the chat being active as always. You guys are the best. We are getting very close to the end. Make sure again that you are subscribed and that you hit that like button. Like I said, likes for Addison. Make sure you're doing that. Any hope for Mecole Hardman ever becoming a wide receiver 3 or flex? No.
No.
David, Mixon and Kupp for Dobbins, Keenan Allen, and Deontay Johnson.
Okay. Good question. Let's see. So Deontay and Mixon are pretty similar to me, actually. So then that leaves Kupp for Dobbins and Allen. Pretty fair. I would probably lean the Dobbins side because it has the younger players on the age curve in there in general, but it's not an unreasonable deal.
No, the value is not bad. So this probably depends on.
Not right. I bet if you plug this into the trade analyzer, it would say something pretty equal.
Yeah, if you're anywhere close to winning a championship, which if you have Kupp, you probably did pretty well this year. I'm not trading them away for this.
Yeah, I agree with that. Kupp is the title winning asset in this deal. There is no title winning asset on the other side. Allen is a low ceiling option at this point. I mean, low ceiling, but reliable, but he doesn't have the ceiling. And Deontay Johnson also is not going to win you a league by himself. Dobbins might.
Jason says 12 teams, Superflex, tight end premium. Thoughts on George Kittle? I also have TJ Hawkinson. Still think Kittle has some gas in the tank, or are there other tight ends you want to get?
Kittle's not a target for me at tight end. I actually like the value on Mark Andrews, on Dallas Goedert, especially. TJ Hawkinson is undervalued to me. Almost every tight end, not Waller, but Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, and Pat Freiermuth somewhat, depends on the draft, are all kind of. Dalton Schultz can be undervalued to me, although sometimes he ends up being overvalued, depends on the draft. But yeah, no, Kittle specifically, I think he's valued about fairly. So I'm not specifically targeting him or specifically selling him.
On your 1 QB chart, where do you have the 105? Who's like right around that range?
105 on the 1 QB chart. So just below is Josh Jacobs. He actually 105 is right between Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery.
Okay. I think people are sleeping on Josh Jacobs.
Oh, I have him worth more than. I don't think. If I told people, yeah, I have Josh Jacobs worth a top 5 pick in 1 QB, people would be like, well, I'm not paying that. So I guess you're right that people are sleeping on Josh Jacobs if they would balk at that price.
Yep. Agreed. Robert says, thoughts on Dyami Brown? Should I sell him or something? I thought he'd be better at as a rookie. So should he sell him or something?
Dyami Brown had Curtis Samuel essentially play nothing and was played plenty. It's exactly what I never want to see. He played a lot. Remember we talked about earlier. I don't care about what you do, how much you played. He played a lot, saw no targets at all, and did nothing with the targets he received.
Mm-hmm.
Total bust. He is completely irrelevant to me. I would take any third round pick and just start over. So he has no value to me, essentially. None at all.
Apparently, it's been officially named that he is a commander now, a Washington commander.
Commander, yeah, he's a commander, but he can command himself to another team.
Yeah, Ed chimes in 105.
I'd rather have the 105 than Judy, though. Judy
or Brandon Ayuk.
Judy has the stench of failure, and I don't want the stench of failure. I want to try to avoid that. Brandon Ayuk, the ceiling isn't really there, so I'd rather have the 105.
Jaden Sharp, Tyreek Hill for Jalen Waddle, 201, and a 2023 third.
Yeah, I have Hill and Waddle close, so the 201 is enough to swing me to the Waddle side. I'll take Waddle.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, right. I like Waddle a lot. We know that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I'd have a hard time pulling the trigger on it, but I don't mind it. Like if this...
Yeah, so I was listening to the fantasy footballers today, and they were talking about. So I do, in case people don't know, like I listen to a lot of the mainstream podcasts pretty often. I mean, I listen to the DLF podcast too, but I listen to the fantasy pros. I listen to the footballers. Those were the two that I listened to before I created content. So I just continued with those as like my mainstream ones that I listened to. And they were talking about how Tyreek Hill was not so good over the back half of the season. It was like wide receiver 45 over like the last 8. It was bad. It was bad. It was not good. So, I had a little bit of concern with Tyreek Hill and his value after hearing that. They actually did a good breakdown of that on their show.
Rad 5577 wants to know Mike Evans' value now that Tom Brady is officially gone.
No, yeah, it's not good. Well, it's not going to be Kyle Trask. How about Jameis Winston? How about that? I think I actually think that's what's going to happen personally.
No,
yes, it will. I think
would love it, but it's not going to happen.
Oh yes,
there's no way.
I think it's very likely.
Bruce Arians hates Jameis Winston.
He can hate Jameis Winston all he wants, but he's going to get the best option at quarterback, and I think that he's the best option. I think he's the best available option. I'm not sure they can afford Jimmy G. 25 million.
How funny would it be if Jimmy G ends up replacing Tom Brady?
I think it would be funny, but he would have to take a pay cut if they're not going to like eviscerate their entire salary cap table. So, I think actually Jameis Winston is their best option. I do. I really think he's their best option. And I think that, him and Arians can look. Arians abandoned him for Tom Brady. Can you blame him?
No, Arians was getting rid of him anyway. He was gone.
No.
Arians hated him.
No, I think Arians would have kept him if Tom Brady were not available.
No chance.
There was that whole report near the end of the season. Oh, yes. Well, watch. We'll see. I think that they're going to go back.
He hates him more than he hates Ronald Jones.
No. He can't hate anyone more than he hates Ronald Jones.
Believe it or not.
Literally, but it's funny. Actually, every coach that's coached Ronald Jones has hated him. So, maybe that might be on Ronald Jones. But,
yeah, maybe.
The previous coach really liked Jameis Winston. There are actually multiple previous coaches, but they like Dirk Cutter, I think, was a big Winston fan.
Yeah. I do think he's going to want a veteran, and I'm curious about Mitch Trubisky potentially.
It's going to be Jameis. I think it's going to be Jameis Winston. I really do. I like legitimately believe this. And then in that case, Mike Evans could be revived. If it's Mitch Trubisky, I think you can take your Mike Evans shares and flush them down the toilet.
No, Evans was good that's best case scenario for Evans.
No, Jameis Winston is. Jameis Winston.
That's what I meant Winston. Yeah. I thought you were saying
Trubisky, not good. Trubisky, I don't want that. That would be very bad.
Ed wants to sell him hard. I agree.
But yeah, I'm selling Mike Evans. I don't, he's going to turn 29. Physical receivers like this, the Dez Bryant type, they don't tend to last very long. This is around when Dez completely fell off the map, right around 28 or 29. And, I just don't believe that Mike Evans is going to continue, with bad quarterback play. I mean, if he has Jameis Winston and they don't re-sign Chris Godwin, then maybe I could see myself being a little bit in, but for now, the risk is very high. What if it's Mariota? What if it's Bridgewater? Bridgewater's the current betting favorite. That's why I mentioned him.
Maybe Drew Lock goes and visits the
Drew Lock
QB
is not a
whisperer.
free agent, so it's not going to be Drew Lock.
He might get cut. I don't know. All right, Mark Carr, Superflex Dynasty. Our league is restarting, but we start with 10 original keepers if options are available. Who would you choose between Adam Thielen, Gabe Davis, Van Jefferson, Trask, or Jordan Love?
So what? I get one choice.
He is keeping Lamar, T-Law, and Watson, and Fields.
Well, if I only get one choice, I'll keep Gabe Davis of this group.
Me too. He'd be close between him and Jefferson, maybe.
No, Van Jefferson is way lower. Van Jefferson, I have like no interest in at all. He's lower, way lower.
Antonio Gibson or the 105
in a Superflex? It's still Gibson.
It's Gibson. Is Jerome Ford too high at 105?
Well, for now, I have Jerome Ford at 17. So,
yes, too high.
Yeah.
His consensus rank on dynastyleaguefootball.com is 18. So,
yeah, so close to me.
Tyler, why do you feel so strongly that Allen Robinson is going to be a Patriot?
I mean, I predicted it. I'm not going to go bet my life on it, but I do feel that Bill Belichick has a history of this, of signing older, alpha, reclamation, receiver projects. He has done this so many times. And they need, I mean, what does their offense really need, right? They have players who can play in the slot poorly. They have tight ends that they wasted money on. But what don't they have? They don't have an alpha outside receiver. They don't have that. They do not have that in their offense. So who is available this year who can fill that role? Chris Godwin might be too expensive. He might be too expensive for them. I don't think they're going to win that competition. So if he's too expensive, then you go down to the next player down, and that's probably Allen Robinson at this point for money. And, I think that it works for everybody, really, wouldn't it?
Until they hire Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator to replace Josh
Bill
McDaniels.
Belichick is not going to hire Matt Nagy, but I do think that the fit is good for Allen Robinson there. I mean, look, there are a lot of places Allen Robinson can go. Allen Robinson is going to be in demand. I don't think that he's going to have any trouble finding a job. And, I think that he will. I'm not going to be in on him when he signs, but I think that the Patriots really have nothing at wide receiver. So,
how many articles do you think will be written that reference Mac Jones being the best quarterback he's ever played with if this happens?
Probably many, because it would be true.
Mark Carr says, great show as always, guys. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, everybody who tuned in. We appreciate all of the support through the chat and through just everything that you guys do. We appreciate you tuning in, taking your time. You can spend your time doing anything. So I appreciate you giving us your time. Tyler, any last words before we sign off?
No, like you said, I just appreciate everyone for watching the show, asking your questions, being patient with me when I get frustrated with some topics or anything. It all comes from a place of passion for doing this, passion for my opinions, most of all. And just, I thank everyone, DLF, you, the viewers, for giving me the opportunity to come here and answer the questions and be here. And, I plan to continue to answer these questions throughout the offseason. I'm very excited for the quarterback carousel that's coming up. I expect, and this will be a bold prediction that remind me of this at the start of next show. I predict that by our next show, we will have some quarterback moves, some tangible events, trades, or something that have happened for us to discuss. So that's my prediction going from this week to next week.
Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Go down there. Make sure you press it. Make sure that you are subscribed. You don't want to miss the content that we have coming up. Make sure you hit the like button. You are going to make Addison happy. And everybody who doesn't want to make Addison happy,
we all do.
Likes for Addison. Make sure you go do that. And if you're in the chat and you've been asking questions after we started signing off, ask us on Twitter. I'm at Calvin and Hobby, wherever that is. He is at DLF_Carb. Make sure you do that. And we will see you